thought I'd take a moment and go over the Make Me Rich application, run it a little bit, show you how some of the interface should work, and then give you some hints on how we can proceed to complete the solution and fulfill all of the ideas in the rubric and see what kind of things we used in lecture to get us there, lecture and lab. Okay, so to begin with, we've got the Make Me Rich app over here that is running, and it's composed up of a number of input components and some buttons, and we see that when it starts up by default, it has all of these hints in here, and the hints kind of give you an idea of what you can be typing inside of each one of these cells. The easiest way is just to click the default button, and the default will say, you know, you're going to start saving at, well, you can clear it and see. The starting age would be 25 years old, and you'd save until you're 65. Your starting salary would be $50,000, and you would get, and you can see what percent you'd save, the raise, and the interest rates. And so you'd save 10% if you had a 2% raise, and you would do the Make Me Rich calculation, and it would tell you that in 40 years you'd have $1.4 million in your retirement fund. Of that, you'll have earned $3 million in salary, which is kind of cool to know how much salary you would have earned over that period of time. But what's even more interesting is that the save amount is only $300,000, and you'll have earned over $1 million in interest. The miracle of time and interest is outrageous. But you can also scroll through this to see the details for every single year, and that's one of the features of this, is that you get the summary information as well as finding out the actual per year values. And of course, your job is to create this app and make sure that everything works properly and that your numbers match up, but also that you added some additional features as identified in the rubric, such as modal aspects of these buttons and some validation and a few things along those lines. So you can see the rubric to find out what the details are there. But in terms of maybe some hints on it, so on this the slide deck that we gave everyone, we at the second to last slide, we actually have a screenshot of the hints and the buttons and the areas, and possibly even some variables to get you started with calculating all of these. We did do a lab in class where it was your job with you and the people that you were sitting near to by hand figure out the calculations, so that this is not a challenge when it comes to how do I do the calculations. You'll know what to do, and then these variables would certainly help out. But in terms of getting the output to work, the input portions and the buttons is one thing, but then we have in two labels. One label here is the summary label, and this is a label that we can actually just put text in. And to get multiple lines, you would embed a new line in the string, and then this would be displayed. And then this is another text label, or a label that has text, and there's a new line for every single one of these lines. And you'll look at this and go, wow, that's interesting. How do I get the spaces? Because it looks like space 25, space 1000. You know, how do I get the spacing to work out so that everything is aligned properly? How do we get commas in the numbers? And for that purpose, we created in the lecture and in some of the labs that we did some demos to actually help you with a few of those things. How do I get the scrolling to work, and how do I get the alignments? So to that end, let's take a look at one of the demos that we did, which was called the Scrollable text demo. And in the Scrollable text demo, we introduced a number of ideas. One of them was when the app initialized. You saw that there was I'll start it again so you can see when I start this app up the first time that we have a notifier that pops up that says I've been initialized. And then we've taught about modal buttons, or radio buttons, where when you press one button, it does its thing and the next button becomes enabled. And as you can see, the show and the hide are radio buttons. Only one can be pushed in at a time. But the other thing, the purpose of this app was to show that there is a label here, and this label actually contains 50 lines. And this is the Scrollable text demo to demonstrate both the radio buttons and the scrollable aspect and how a text could be. And so you can go into all of the material from the course and look at the demo that you did and look at the blocks and go, how did we do this? How was this loop created that all of these lines were created? As you can see, this would be very, very useful to getting you towards the make me rich aspect, where when you say make me rich and it does the calculations, that pretty much the development of these areas here, the summary label and the detailed labels, are done using the exact same approach. And so it would just be mapping that idea. Now, let's talk about the alignment and the commas and things like that. So if we also created had a lab where we did something called the formatting tools demo. And in the formatting tools demo, we talked about different libraries that you could do. So let me scroll through so you can see what we had here, and because we've given this to you. In the formatting tools, you can download a starting point, and we came up with the format number with commas. Library of blocks that you could use, and the left pad string. And fundamentally what we did was that we went through and built up an entire app that I'm going to demonstrate real quickly here. And so what you could do is enter in, say a number like 987654321, and then say format that number with commas, and you see that by utilizing the appropriate block library, it actually took that number and put the commas in. We also did something with this left pad string, and the idea is you could put a string in, and you could say, hey, listen, let's pad this thing to the left with periods to the total of 6 spaces. And so if you do that and click the button, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left pad with I'm sorry, I may have said spaces, I meant periods. If you want to put a space in, you would literally put a space bar, press the space bar, and then be able to say done, and then run it. And you can't, it's hard to visualize, but there are spaces here. So you could visualize this better maybe with an underscore and then clicking the left pad string, and you might be able to see it, or better yet, maybe even some hyphens, because I believe if I use a hyphen, space will show up, so you can see that it's 6 all the way. Now, the library, though, can be used together. You can use the code that does the format number with commas and the one that does the left pad string and put them all together. So imagine I wanted to get this number to be printed out with a pad in front of it of, say, a plus sign, and I'm sorry, a plus sign would be up here in the pad, plus sign, and then we'll make this, say, 15 characters wide, and what you could do then is push this button, and you see that I've used a total of 15 characters. I left padded it on the left side with this one pad character to the length of 15. If we go back into our Make Me Rich app and we load the defaults and run it, you could see that perhaps there was a left pad to pad it with spaces a certain number, like for this retirement amount. Now, all of these were left padded, and maybe there was even a comma formatting with commas. So I would encourage you to look through the scrollable text demo. Here's the entire application of how scrollable text worked, and you've got all the blocks for how did the left pad string happen, and putting all of those together for your solution to the Make Me Rich problem.